Hello and welcome to Mining Review Africa. My name is Viljoen. We're coming to you from the 2022 African Mining Indaba in Cape Town. With me, I've got the CEO of Anglo American Platinum, and she's right here with me, Natascha Viljoen. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Lingwe, and thank you for the opportunity to talk to you today.
Well, Natascha, you've recently launched the new gen hydrogen truck at your Mogalakwena complex a few days ago. How has the global response been?
I think we've had an overwhelming response, and the reason for the overwhelming response is because it's such a crucial step for us to start to really unlock an economic hydrogen economy. And in addition to that, if we just think about the wonderful story we have about Alex, our driver, as an example, is the potential it has for future work and then obviously the generation of new job opportunities in a country that we so desperately need it.
Tell us, how did it come that Alex is the one that was chosen as a diesel mechanic to drive the truck? How did that story come about?
So Alex is one of our local community members, and he had a very specific interest in our hydrogen truck and put up his hand to be trained to be our first driver. And certainly a proud moment for him when he also had an opportunity when our president had a trip with him in his truck around the circuit we made available.
Natascha, how does the future look like for the youth around the Mogalakwena region in terms of mining and employment? What strategies has Anglo American Platinum has in place to make sure that the community around Mogalakwena area are employed, especially with the very high unemployment rate in South Africa?
Yes. Klingiwe, I think it's a really important question for us. Our community stakeholders is such an important stakeholder for us. I just came from the alternative mining in Indaba this morning, and it was clear that from a stakeholder point of view, we are not doing enough yet. We have been making significant progress, I believe. If we look at Mogalakwena, we predominantly recruit from our local community. We also have a number of programs running to create other economic opportunities like service providers and local doorstep community spend specifically for this Mogalakwena operations. And despite the fact that we've increased our doorstep community spend in the last 6 years by 500% to about 4 billion rand in the last year, it's just still not good enough. So a big portion of what we need to do continuously going forward is firstly to listen to our community, understand how we work together to create more economic benefit. But as mining alone, we just cannot do it. We cannot create enough jobs to address the full gap that we have and the full expectation of society out there. So it's really important, back to our truck, that we consider how we use this as a momentous opportunity, as part of a broader hydrogen economy, as a catalyst for economic growth, and creating jobs outside the mining industry that can be there long after we have stopped mining in those areas.
Natascha, there's a growing concern about new technology coming into mining with regards to unemployment. People are concerned that these new technologies will lessen their jobs. What is your take on that?
I think we need to stay current with global trends to ensure that our market and our products can be competitively priced in the market. I think that's the first thing. We do recognize as a company, though, as with the just energy transition, there needs to be a just technology transition. And that's why we've got a stated intent of supporting the generation of 5 jobs outside the mine gate for every 1 job inside the gate. And it's back to how we catalyze economic development outside the mining gates. It is safer, it is healthier for all of our colleagues in the mine as we modernize. The other thing that's important, I think there is this concern around how technology takes job opportunities away. The reality is I have a concern that our technology development will not stay abreast of an aging population who's starting to retire, and a younger generation that does not necessarily see mining as where they want to work. So that advancement is important for us, not only to ensure that we can continue mining, because we're going to have less people who want to work in the mining industry in the future, but also to attract far more of our young talent. And another example, just at Mogalakwena, we do remote drilling. And we have a number of young female local people who's working as rock drill operators, drilling in the pit remotely from a control room. And it was so beautiful. About 18 months ago, when we started the project, I had an opportunity to go and talk to our young ladies. And the young lady looked at me and she said, well, you know what? I can operate 2 drills. Why don't you give me a second drill to operate? That excites a younger generation. That is the mining they want to be part of. So I think if we think differently and we just think about what this future holds, it's actually exciting for us to take on new technology.
It's pretty amazing that you mentioned that the drill operator is a woman, Natascha.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's talk about women in mining. How did it feel for this milestone to happen with you in your position as CEO of Anglo American Platinum?
Hlingiwe, it was an absolute privilege. One of the biggest things that's important for me personally is how I can make an impact. And I think being part of a company, firstly, with a purpose like reimagining mining to improve people's lives, the fact that the company of its size takes the accountability for development seriously really puts me in a position to make an impact. So whilst it's a privilege, it also, I believe, comes with a significant accountability. And one thing that I take very seriously, and that's why conversations with our broader stakeholder group, visiting our alternative mining in Indaba is close to my heart, because I think it's important that we recognize in all of these aspects, we will only truly be successful if we partner and collaborate, listen, and take our country forward.
Natascha, lastly, your encouragement to women. What can women do to better their chances in the mining industry and to make their mark and to have their voice be heard?
Yeah, I think it's a very valid question, a very relevant question. And I think courage is probably the word that comes to mind immediately. Having courage to step forward, and I've recently again received a letter from one of our local community members who was first a representative of the local community. She put a business forward to us. It was difficult for her. It didn't come easy. Our processes didn't necessarily make it easy for her, but she endured, she had courage, she continued to step forward, and now she's a business owner with a contract at the mine. And she wrote to me to reflect on her story, and that is the kind of courage. Do not stop. Be true to your convictions. The reality as women, we bring a very different culture into the workplace. We bring a culture of listening, a culture of collaboration, a culture of care and respect into the workplace. We lower the ego that allows us to be curious and really listening to all of the voices in the room.
Natacha, thank you so much for your time.
And thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. That was Anglo American Platinum CEO Natascha Viljoen. Thank you for joining me.